Hey everybody out there, Chris and Mike here, and welcome back to another indie comic book review. We got some good books today for you guys. Mike read a few, I read a few. It's been a hectic week for me. For those of you that have been following me, you guys know that this has been one of those weeks where I've been like MIA from everything due to extra work. However, we got the two shows. We got indie review tonight and the regular review tomorrow. Got a book from outside this week. We are slowly catching up to, and you read this book. Mike has a continuation to a book that he's really enjoying. We're not going to show that yet. We got some talk about another book or an advertisement for a review you guys will be seeing on Comic Frontline. And then after that, we got two physical copy books. Well, three actually, physical copy books from this week. And 11 digital ones, not including the one digital one I have from outside this week. So let's not waste any time here. Let's jump into Argo 5, issue number 9. We are one away from catching up to Argo 5. Wow. Issue number 9, I'm going to put it out there now, and I was talking with Dan about this too. Argo 5 definitely is something for, right along Argo 5 has felt like anybody could read it, and it would be good. This issue takes a bit of a mature turn.
Like more to the
adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely not a book I'd say for kids to read.
Right.
Maybe teenagers.
Because they go a little bit more into just kid stuff. They go more into adult stuff.
More adult stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Gladiatra has to go undercover. She is looking for a man named E-Train. And he has the codes for this, what was it called? I want to get this right. Apocalypse something. Apocalypse Project.
Yeah.
And basically, her mission is to find out all the information she can on it so they can prevent it from ever happening. They need his access codes and they need all the information on it. So this way they can prevent anything from happening on Earth due to the Apocalypse Project.
Right. And they want to prevent it.
Gladiatra has to go undercover, and of course, E-Train runs a strip club.
Which is...
She's undercover as a stripper.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, let's just say there are very, very sexy pages. Stop smiling!
What?
Mike enjoyed this issue.
No, I didn't like that almost.
You enjoyed the boob tube. I mean the TV.
Just
the TV in the background.
Yeah.
Anyway, she gets close to E-Train, and E-Train figures out that she's a superhero. E-Train has super strength, by the way.
Yeah.
And he figures her out, like I said, and then there is a situation which I really don't like talking about that happens here. And it's an attempted fill-in-the-blank, or you can buy the issue if you're an adult. But Thank goodness, Argo 5 shows up before anything can happen, and Shazrath is not a happy man. Remember, Gladiatra is his girlfriend, and yeah, he nearly pounds E-Train into a pulp, and then Gladiatra actually gets all the information out of E-Train, because at first E-Train's like, I'm not going to tell you anything, and then she's like, well, I'm sure you don't want...
She gets her costume back, by the way.
Yes, she does. She does get her costume back. And then she says, I'm sure you're on probation. I don't think if I tell them what you attempted to do with me, your probation will be... it's going to go against your probation, and it's definitely going to affect it. Thank you, I found the page. And then he gives her all the information. She gives him one final goodbye punch in the face. We actually get to see Chain Reaction's dad.
Yeah,
which I found very interesting. And he's not too proud of his son. He's kind of like, yeah, you watch us from above your satellite. You're saving the world while we're down here doing all the little things.
Like thinking that the work there is much more better than that. But the ending...
The ending with the Apocalypse Project, they get all the information they needed. And more. It's worse than what Argo 5 thought. What does it mean? It leads into the hugest cliffhanger, and I'm not going to give away that cliffhanger because there is still one more issue of Argo 5.
And that
will be... Go ahead.
Awesome.
Okay, and
Yeah.
that will be to be continued in next week's indie review. We have issue 10 already. I actually did not have time to finish issue 10, so I can't even give you guys a briefie on what happens next. But we have issue 10. It's confirmed already. We have it. We will be reviewing that issue. I have something in my eye and it's driving me crazy. And we will be reviewing that issue next week. And I believe we'll then be caught up with everything Argo 5.
And as always, there is an art gallery at the end.
Love the pinups. Oh, and
the pinups, I meant.
Dan said you're going to get a giggity out of this.
Oh, Super Gamma Mega. Yeah, I kind of was like, oh, okay. Giggity, giggity.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, but Argo 5, though...
it's been a spectacular run.
Good.
Even though this does take a mature turn in this issue, again, this is something that we all know about and we all hear about in our everyday lives, especially as we get older. But once again, Argo 5, up until issue 9, I would feel anyone could really read it.
Oh, absolutely.
It was an anybody book.
It's just really that amazing. It's epic. It's just...
Yeah, no, but it also kept the censorship.
Right, until...
This issue takes a more adult turn. Does it hurt the book? Absolutely not. I still consider this book 5 out of 5 stars. However, this is now a more mature tone, at least for this issue. So, for this issue, if you have a younger child reading it or something like that, I would omit this one issue and catch the child up on the next issue. Though I'm not going to say about the next issue anything yet, whether it's adult or anything, because I'm saving that for next week. But for this issue, though, definitely more of an adult tone. But again, we are adults.
Yes.
So for us, this was an excellent read, even though it's gone from, let's say, PG-13 to more of a PG-17 kind of tone. No nudity. I will say that.
There is no nudity, so that's good.
It's just mature situations.
Yes.
There we go. That's a good way to put it. So, definitely something for older readers, but still spectacular nonetheless. Love it. If you are interested in Argo 5, I highly recommend it. You can check that out at Argo Comics, ARGOcomics.com. You can find the whole listing of Argo Comics there. There's the Argo 5. There's the Argo, oh God, I have the sorority. I have this, hold on. I want to make sure I get the title right. Argo Comics Anthology, there we go. And many, many more titles. Those are just a few of the many. And spectacular as always. So now, we're going to jump into this week's books.
Yep, and start with your book?
No, we're going to start with that book.
Oh.
I thought.
This was on the top pile, but... Okay.
It was there out of complete coincidence. But again, Argo Comics, spectacular. Highly recommend it. I believe... Oh, God, I forgot where Dan was going to be signing this week. If you're watching this, let us know in the comments below the date and where you're signing. But highly recommend it. 5 out of 5. This week now.
The comic book I have been waiting for so many weeks from Assailing Comics, Chris Charleston's Binary Gray issue number 6.
How was it?
Here, and it is still excellent. This book is just, like, I really enjoyed this issue. Like, it was just...
You enjoyed it so much, you just ripped the Scotch tape right off of it?
Well, because I was like saying, ooh, I want to see,
Dude, there's a difference between ripping plastic and... I mean, I understand you want to get your hands on the book, but I mean, this is kind of a bit extreme. Now you're going to need another plastic.
I could get it for 99 cents. But anyway.
99 cents.
So, starts off where left off last time, where Alex is like in a little bit of a like resting because of what happened last issue. Here's some artwork, which I found to be very awesomely drawn, like all the issues. This is the last story arc to this.
Last part to the first.
Last part to the first story arc is what I meant to say, and the agencies are after him still after. Because they want Alex because of all the other stuff, and because he could do communications, they want his powers as well. So him, along with, oh, I can't remember his name. Like, they both are teaming up to try to get away, but they find trouble, and his team, with Moth and the rest of them, they help him out, and we find out about this, like his name, that they were fighting against. And there was this other team called Teo, who was also part of the battle. And yeah, the guy with the mummified head bent him, where he wants him to know, like, he wants to know more about his father, and he says that he knows, and he doesn't trust him, so he just uses his spell. And Chris is his name. Yeah.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah. So so Alex teamed up with Chris, and things did not look so well for him.
Of course they did.
At the end of terms, and he kind of knows the story about his father, because it was more along the lines of he wants to find out more information about his father, and there's more to what happened. And one of them thought that Alex killed Chris, and there was a little bit of a scene there. And there's a little bit of a cliffhanger in the end where someone pays a visit to Mrs. Gray, who is Alex Gray's mother. So, wow.
You're very happy that there's an issue 7, though, when you turn to the last
Yeah,
page.
I was looking, I'm like saying, oh, thank you, God, but it says coming soon, so I hope soon.
You didn't mention that the comic was actually signed by Chris Charleston.
I was getting to that. I was going to put it back in the cover. But yes, this is signed by
Well, don't put it, because you have the
Chris
website right
Charleston.
in the back.
And right behind it,
Where you can find this book and many more, assailingcomics.com.
Yep, they got tons of...
I hope they got it. I don't know if we
Yeah.
held it up high enough. Also,
Yeah.
with the completion...
They got it now?
Okay.
Okay.
Also, with the completion of the first story arc in Assailant Comics, we also have...
If I could get this
We
comic book.
also have...
Here, put it back in.
Oh, dude, because you ripped the cover and it won't close.
Got
the first trade paperback, which is basically, after reviewing this issue, which you completely destroyed the cover to, the first 6 issues.
the comic book was fine.
The comic's fine, though.
Yes.
The first 6 issues of Binary Gray, all collected
Yes.
in one gigantic book. So if you guys are not single issue fans and you are trade paperback fans, you can get the first 6 issues right here in this wonderful trade paperback. And it has all the bios and everything that you can check out, not only at the end of each solo issue, but you could also check them out on Assailant's Facebook page. These are all up there. I believe they've been posted up during the time of the contest. And
Yeah, but this book, Binary Gray, from issues 1 through 6, this is a highly recommended read, and I absolutely... I mean, it does have swearing in it. I mean, maybe I would prefer this for adults to read. But other than that, the first story arc was just simply amazing. 5 out of 5.
And now going into Comic Frontline previews, you can look forward to a full, since Mike reviewed all 6 issues already, I mean, you can check those out all throughout the indie reviews from episode 1 to now. Mike will be doing a full-on first volume, basically the trade paperback review of Binary Gray on Comic Frontline on Comic Book Corner, which is now moving to Comic Frontline as of this week. So you can look forward to a full-on first story arc trade paperback review, issues 1 through 6, all together in this book review from Michael on Comic Frontline in the near future.
Yes, and that is going to be really...
That's going to be an awesome first episode for
and
Comic
by the
Book
way,
Corner on
he also
Comic
did
Frontline.
sign in here.
Yeah, you could tell. And he
Also,
said congrats.
and he said congrats, and I thank you, Mr. Charleston, for that, and signing the comic book. I am looking forward to...
Please excuse little man in the background.
I'm looking forward to actually reviewing issues 1 through 6 on Comic Frontline, because it was just good. So, your comic book.
My comic book is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 30. This is my book of the week. Again, everything is the same, but oh so different. Finally, I was worried that this comic series was going to basically follow in the exact same footsteps as the 1980s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story, and pleasantly I am surprised. I'm not surprised, but I'm pleasantly pleased to announce that they are not. Mikey is writing a long, long letter to his friend back in New York. Oh God, his name slipped. Woody. How did that? And
Woody.
he's telling him everything that's gone up until this point. So if you've not been reading Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or you missed City Fall, Mikey explains everything that well, a fair percentage of what's happened in the very beginning or the opening of his letter to Woody. Also, we have a moment between Raphael and Aloplex, where Aloplex kind of tries to explain herself. We have a moment between Donatello and Splinter, which kind of links together with the miniseries going on, the Utrum War. Leo has another dream with his mother, which they really aren't dreams. They're more of, spiritual guidance back. He's still brainwashed. He still can't remember anything thanks to what Shredder did to him. But slowly he's coming back or realizing, first of all, he knows that he's been brainwashed now. So now it's just about getting back to where he was. And as his mother said, it's just one step at a time. April and Casey find out more about April's father's involvement with the Ooze. We have a moment between Donnie and Leo, which I'm not going to share the dialogue. We get to see Splinter and his wife also. Another spiritual moment, so to speak. And then Mikey comes up with a plan to bring everybody together. And it's a hot dog roast. And I'm telling you guys, Mikey, if I had to definitively pick one turtle, because you guys know I love Leo and Mikey, in this comic series, I'm sorry, but my favorite turtle is Mikey, because Mikey is about the family, he's about the love, he's the wacky one, he is the wackiest of the four, but Mikey knows how to bring people together. He has the greatest love in his heart for not only his family, but his friends and everybody around him. Taking the time, if you really look at this book, writing a letter to Woody, his best friend, Woody, who he considers his best friend, to let him know he's okay, tell him everything that's going on, and then telling him at the end of the letter, once he finishes the letter, he has this huge plan to fix things and get things,
back in order,
back together with his family, or start the healing process. And he does this roast and everybody comes. You got Leo who comes with Donnie, and you see like Raph gives the apology to Leo sort of, and then you got Raph after that long convo with Aloplex. He kind of welcomes her into their circle as well, and it's just like this huge togetherness that you see at the end of the book. But now, here is where the book takes its volumes turn, where it shies away, or it goes its own path, which is what I was hoping for, which is what I had my fingers crossed for, and I was hoping and praying that they wouldn't follow a same outline where the turtles stay there for a while and then they decide they're going to go back to New York. It looks like things are already going in a different direction. Apparently the turtles have been stalked by Cowrie, and they've been found by this owl agent. I forget, is his name mentioned here? No, his name isn't even mentioned here. Oh yeah, it is. Koya.
Yeah. But,
so another mutant. So it's going to be, the next issue is going to be really, really interesting.
But I always found Michelangelo, like...
Oh, and it's not Utrum Roar, it's Utrum Empire.
Yeah, but looking at this book, like, I always knew that Mikey had a heart of...
oh wow, they actually made these.
Oh wow, those... head things.
They actually made decals of the turtle heads. I think that's awesome. I wanted to get the Iron Man one, but this looks nice too, but you can't just buy one. If you're like me, you have to understand, you buy one turtle, you buy all four.
Yeah, I know that since you've...
Mike bought Tommy a 1 month birthday present, and it was just Michelangelo's little Beanie Baby.
Just
I said, where's the rest of the family?
Of his Uncle Mikey.
I understand, but Mike then had to go back to the store because Daddy Chris was not happy because you can't separate the turtle family.
Well, I found Leo and Donnie, but they didn't have Raphael, so hopefully this week I'll go back to...
Mike will be getting it hopefully this week. I did not add it to the weekly comic book haul because I want to have the full family first, so maybe next week I'll show you guys where Mike got for little Tommy for his 1 month birthday. And that's it, but that's my book of the week.
Okay, Vertigo Comics of Dead Boy Detectives, issue number 2.
Is it two of or just two? Yeah. Oh no,
No,
just
just
number 14.
two.
All right, you go ahead. You
Yeah.
talk about that. I'm gonna set up.
Dead Boy Detectives, from what we saw from the last issue, where
That's from Vertigo, right?
yeah, from Vertigo, is where Crystal goes to St. Hilarian's school after the last issue. She was saved by the two boys, of Edwin and Charles, and she has a little bit rough there, but one of her friends, Hannah Watanabe, is friends with her. They go back in the past of where Crystal was this person that she wasn't really afraid of anything, and there was like a huge event that happened in life, and if you want to know what it is, you can read the book. There's lots of mystery, and here's some artwork right here, which is I see this more of a dark artwork, but it explains the emotions, so I could kind of understand that. But it's very self-explanatory, where you know, the girls are bullying her, and Hannah's always by her side no matter what happens, and you know, there's just so much that they have really hidden, especially down the infirmary, where there's lots of stuff that they're really keeping secret. Like, it is just secret altogether. And Charles actually finds out in the end, spoiler alert, that he has a brother. So that's to be continued in the next issue. And I like how they put a puzzle piece at the end, just like they did with issue 1. But this is really interesting stuff. Dead Boy Detectives it's like it has that mysterious, not sci-fi, like it's more of a mysterious, maybe supernatural stuff, I would say. But this is definitely a good book. This is recommended for any, well, I would say more along rated T for teen, since this is a teen book. So I would say give it a shot for teenagers. And good stuff. Really good stuff.
Now, Mike, you read a lot of stuff this week because I was MIA, so let's... Yes. I know you're going to be doing a lot of the talking, but as you guys know, I do a lot of the talking during the Big 2 comic review. Yes. So, Bloodhound issue number 4 of 5, from Crowbar Medicine.
Yes.
Mr. Longhair no longer has long hair, I will say that
much.
I did briefly read through most of the books you'll be talking about.
Yeah, because in last issue there was a big explosion happened with the cars, and he's just really like, he thinks like so negative because his granddaughter died. Yeah, like he's just like saying, you know, I'm just not, you know, myself now, but he wants to solve the case of Morgenstern's death. And you know, his partner is saying like, you know, you must be crazy, you know, you should go see a psychologist, and you know, they were supposedly supposed to be off the case. But then he just said, you know, I'm going to find about this death with or without you. So one way or another, you know, you're going to share the information. And she does share the information with him of what they need to know. And they want to go to this place where he finds where this whole Morgenstern's death is, after he draws the circle on the map. And they get to the base, and they meet up with these superpowered people, and it first turned out like really rough in the beginning, but then like during the ending of a battle, there's a person who comes in to help them out, and I believe his name is Tabber. He kind of looks like Spider-Man, sort of, the way he looks, like the mask-wise. And he does
anybody who has a mask like that.
Yeah, he does take off his mask because he wants them to earn his trust. And
Terminus.
Terminus, thank you. That's what his code name is. Terminus.
Terminus or Terminus.
Yeah, so there's just a weird thing that happens at the end where Terminus knows a little bit of a trickery with one of the bars, which might be good or a bad thing, but that's left for a cliffhanger for the next issue. So it's really amazing to see Bloodhound's character, how his is developing, you know, with not having hair no more because of the accident. And I'll tell you one thing though, he is a really strong investigator, and he could read minds like very easily, I could say. I mean, he's very good at that. So definite check out for that.
Okay, next, let's do. I did a lot of those. So, oh, we'll stay in Dark Horse. We'll do Sledgehammer 44, issue number 3 of 3. How did it end, Mike?
Well, it did end where like Sledgehammer is still fighting with the skeleton of Hitler, and he's just telling him, you know, surrender, and the guys who are flying the airplane, like, I'll save their lives, I won't have to destroy him. And of course he doesn't believe him because, you know, you can never believe a bad guy because they're just going to do it anyway. So really throughout the whole half of the comic book it's just them fighting, and it
looks like a fight.
And the artwork is really like great, like lots of explosions, lots of action. There is a little bit of a backstory of they show of Hitler during the almost end of the comic book. But it's just Sledgehammer and him just going at it, and it really was a brutal fight. And there's a backstory which I have you guys check out because they find something that is like really something worth checking out. And in the end, like always, there's a bit of a vision that the Sledgehammer has, and something worth reading. But the way they just ended it right there, you know, I mean, I hope they do make more issues of that because I really enjoyed reading the Sledgehammer issues, because it was like more of an interesting story than that I've read. But definitely.
How's time going?
Let me see the time. 40 seconds.
All right, we're gonna switch over. Give us one brief moment, and then we will continue with the next issue from Dark Horse.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. We have Never Ending, issue number 3 of 3. I did skim through this one.
It really has a Superman feel to it. Like, it really reminds you of the Superman character, the way he uses his powers and
still jumps from past to present to future.
That kind of does
early, middle, and then late.
Yeah, that kind of has a little bit of a mix-up in the book, but it is quite an easy read and understandable of his past stories, of how, you know, he is, like how he went from the past to now, and with the girl of his dreams who actually died, and you know, where everything just turns, like, it just progresses.
Being immortal was not exactly something that he was ready for, because he actually, like I said, like in the last issue, he experienced all the people that were a part of his family.
Very traumatizing to him. You know, in memory of that. So,
but then he has to deal in the future with the fact that he no longer has superpowers. He's no longer immortal, and still, even though he doesn't have his superpowers anymore, he's still a hero. He still finds a way to be, to save the day, so to speak.
I like when he goes in the that armor thing.
Mm-hmm.
That one was really
basically that's him. The next stage of his life,
and that's what I liked about the story. Like, it's not like going from past, present, and future, like saying, okay, this is unnecessary. It's actually
it all plays a part.
The story, and it comes together as one big, huge story. Like saying, okay, now we understand why he is the way he is.
I would have been a little happier in the end if he would have gotten his superpowers back somehow.
I don't know why. I think he might, because you know how superheroes, they wind up with no powers, and what happens? They always get it back. So maybe in further issues along, he might get it back. I'm not saying for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing this series again. I think this was like one of those, this is the 3-part series, and that's it. Yeah. That's all you're going to get.
But who knows?
I think the red. Oh, we have one more. Yeah.
Yeah.
One more.
And this is the one I read. Yeah. This is the one I read.
Dark Horse, Furious issue number 1.
And boy, Furious. Well,
Yeah, I wasn't
first
a
of
fan
all,
of the artwork really. I think that's why I kind of.
I thought the artwork was a little bit okay, but it talks about a story that there's a scene going on, and then it goes to 6 hours
Earlier.
like earlier of how it got to there, which is like that's what the great part about this comic is. It's like it goes to how and why this is happening. And first of all, she wanted to be known as the Beacon, not known as Furious, because they've been hearing on the news that she is not such a great hero and that she just causes carnage and mass destruction, and some people don't like her because of that. But there are these two guys who are on her side, and after she hears the news, which led to what happened in the beginning story, that's where it continues on. So she's trying to save this kid who is abducted by her mother because she's afraid that the court's going to take her son away from her, because they do explain about that. And she does every which way just to get in that car or to make her stop, and she's just insane. And she goes crazy. Like, she goes really cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs after a while, and she's just really just trying to either get herself and her son killed, or because it looked like she just wanted to end it all. But she just tries to find a way to save them both, and it just turns out like just the ending. You just gotta see how it turns out.
I'm actually looking.
Because,
I'm reading it.
Yeah, I know, because I see the way you like I could see by your expression of the story. And there's this one person that Furious hates that's from the magazine. I think her name is Vader. I think that's what her name is. And she has this really big envious thing about her because she's like this big star celebrity and she wants to be known more than Vader. I think that's what her name is. But I've heard some great reviews from people that said that this is a really good book, and it really is for a first issue. And I think, like I said, the artwork's okay, and definitely one of those books that I would say to check out from Dark Horse Comics. And yeah.
Alright, let's jump into one of my books so I could ease you up a little bit.
Okay.
Saga issue number 18. Man, oh man, this is the end of the first chapter, and it was so funny. In every issue of Saga, there's some part of nudity somewhere, and I was wondering how they were going to fit it in here, and they found a way to, and it's hilarious. So, Lion Cat actually gets scared off by I want to get her name right. Elizabeth, the ghost, and she basically haunts her out, so to speak. Using her ghostly powers, she kind of scares Lion Cat out, leaving Gwendolyn to deal with Marco and his wife. And Marco knows that she can fly, but she doesn't know he knows, and he ends up throwing her off the balcony because Gwendolyn threatens to kill her and the baby. So to save them, he pushes them off, realizing that, she'll be able to fly. Also, Prince Robot the Fourth is still alive. However, due to what's happened to him, he's basically rebooting. And he actually is the one that saves Marcos' mom, but then that's where the nude scene comes in, and that's where he's like, I need to get to my ship. I have something I have to do, I believe. And Elizabeth is trying to convince him not to, and then he's like, what's your name and rank again? And she's like, you know what? Go to your ship. Don't worry about it. We'll handle it from here. Enjoy. I'm not going to say what happens to Gwendolyn, but let's just say the end of the book is, again, the baby explaining how she grew up. Or she didn't grow up a lot. She became a little. She's still a little girl, but it's definitely a couple of years later. The Will is in the hospital now, and he has very little chance of ever coming out of what he's in. Gwendolyn admits that she's in love with him, and at the same time she's like spying at him from a distance. And again, the pursuers, as the baby says, they don't pursue them for a very, very, very long time.
Wow.
And that's when they jump into the future where the baby is now a little girl. And at first I thought this was the end of Saga. I thought they were going to end it here, but apparently Saga will be coming back in 3 months.
3 months?
They do this every year.
Well, yeah, they kind of do that, but 3 months, that's like all the way.
Yeah, but it's better
May.
I'd rather 3 months than never.
Yeah, it'd be a good birthday gift for you.
Ha
It'll be in
ha.
your birthday month.
I love Saga. It's one of my most favorite series that come out of Image Comics next to Invincible, which the only reason why I'm not reviewing Invincible now is because it's in the middle of something. I'm going to wait till it's the jumping on point, and then from there on I'll be reviewing it. I do read Invincible and Invincible Universe, but again, like I said, they're all both in the middle of story arcs right now, so I'm waiting for the jumping on point for Invincible for new readers, and that's when I'll start reviewing that.
Okay.
I want to make sure we don't have any books outside of... We have one more that you should do first, Mike, and that's... But anyway, Saga. Amazing. Highly recommend. If you haven't been reading Saga, check out the trade paperback. So, Shadow Year 1, issue number 7.
Dynamite.
From Dynamite.
And Shadow Year 1, they keep delivering, like, this really great story where, at first there's this woman who is about to get...
You're reading 3 Shadow books, you know. Year 1, Shadow, and Now.
Shadow Now, yeah. And there's this girl who is getting, like, really hurt by these men, and Shadow just... Shadow Man just comes in, and he...
The Shadow.
Yeah, the Shadow. See, you got me mixed up.
Shadow Man is Valiant.
Right. The Shadow comes in to save her, and against this really wacky person right here, and he just takes care of him really good, and he wasn't going to kill him, but this girl actually does, and she doesn't really take that lightly, because the Shadow doesn't really believe in ending it all in violence, sort of, in that sense. And there's a little bit of a love scene where they have at the end.
That's a romantic scene.
A romantic scene, really. And then there's a part where he goes to this old man and he talks about stuff during the war and lots of other stuff. You could read it for yourself if you want. There is a ring mentioned in this comic book, which actually was referred to. That ring has actually played a really huge role in this comic book. Did you notice that? The ring that's on the finger? That's really playing a big, like, irony to this story. And it does actually talk about that a little bit, along with lots of other graphic stuff. And let's just say the whole thing of what happened in the beginning was a bit of a setup that he wanted to do. And if you want to know how and why, I would definitely say to read this comic book. The Shadow is definitely one of those books where I don't know if I would say it's a mixture between a Batman and the Punisher combination, but it's really one of those books I would definitely say to pick up and try for yourselves and let me know what you think.
Alright, the last 5 books are all from IDW, because that's really where we read a lot of or do a lot of our heavy reading. So, let's start with issue 1 of this City, The Mind in the Machine. What did you think of this? I did not have a chance to touch this number 1.
To be honest, I'm seeing this, like, old technology and a 1984 feel to it. By the way, 1984 was written by George Orwell. Just wanted to make that point. What the book is. But this book actually, it has lots of technology where the government can see, you know, everything you're doing.
Oh, like what they do now, basically.
Yeah, like it kind of relates to like the reality world, and they're just looking and just seeing, you know, how they can, you know, improve with life and everything else. So the main character of this story, like he does during the middle of the story. Like, there was this big accident that he...
Causes?
Like, not causes, like, he actually was in this like let's say explosive accident, and when they try to bring him back to life and save him, they bring him back, but as a computer program, he brings him back, like kind of like a robot, but more along lines of like computer, like he sees stuff like a computer screen, and he looks really really like messed up. Like his eyes like bloodshot, like outside the eyes and stuff like that, and he's just trying to wonder, like where am I? Why am I seeing things like this? And they explain to him of all that. But I think that this role of the origin story of how he's gonna play along this, of it's gonna take computer technology to a whole new level. Like that's definitely what I see in this comic book, and trying to accept the fact that he is no longer just human, he's a computer program like human. But there's just so much I want to talk about, but I really don't want to give it away because like this comic book is just like it's really like, how can I put this? If you're like a type of person that likes technology and computers, I would say this is a definite comic book just for you in that category. And I would say to definitely check it out. It really relates to today's world in more ways than one, so definitely must see. Or must read, actually. Go ahead. I'm getting it.
There we go. Godzilla Rulers of Earth, issue number 8. Mike did not read this one, but we get introduced to some new monsters here. It's actually on one of the covers for Godzilla Rulers of Earth. So, Jet Jaguar actually is able to save the American troops, and the aliens who are working with the underwater, I forgot who the underwater race were called, Underweller.
Yeah, that's the way I see right there.
Underweller are the aliens, and they were working in an alliance, and then they separated, and now the aliens are on the run from a monster that's attacking them on the island, while the ones underwater remain, on standby. They're no longer working with them. Godzilla shows up somehow, and he's the one that ends up fighting the monster. The monster's name actually comes out of the ground, and his name is Biollante.
Oh.
He's huge. This super huge monster, and basically Godzilla versus him throughout the entire book, and this was an awesome splash page. That's how big. You can compare him to Godzilla. He's like 10 times the size of Godzilla.
That is amazing, that page.
But of course Godzilla wins in the end because this is his book.
You're talking to Godzilla. Hello. Who could be Godzilla?
But they've discovered new islands with new monsters on it, and the government comes into research. However, once they arrive at the end, they're welcomed by 3 brand new monsters that were sent out from the underwater.
And that's who Godzilla's gonna fight, I'm guessing.
I have no idea. We'll find out in the next issue. But
oh wow.
Yeah, we get introduced to some monsters at the end of this one. Godzilla ends up leaving the island after he beats Biollante.
Well, doesn't he always leave the island and then come back?
It would be funny if he left just to come back.
Because that's what he does. Like that's what I've noticed when I've been reading some Godzilla comics, and from what I've seen in Godzilla stuff in the past.
I know you're upset about this book, but Mr. Peabody and Sherman issue number 4.
This I believe.
He's not upset at it for the reasons you guys think.
Like, this comic book was so funny. Like, I was laughing almost throughout half of this comic book. Like, they're going back in time to meet with first William Shakespeare, and he's having this writer's block, and they're trying to prevent him from ever having a writer's block. So then he's trying, because William Shakespeare's to be or not to be, and they actually help him out. Then they go to this other guy. I think it was like a long name, Hercule something. And he's trying to talk to this girl, and he's so shy that they're doing like a thing where Peabody, Mr. Peabody, is actually whispering to him what to say to her, and it turns out that when Peabody and Sherman were talking to each other, he says something wrong, and he tries to be like this big strong guy that can duel, and he just said just be yourself, you know, when you talk to the woman. And there's this one other place they go to, and it's to be continued.
But not where you
the
think.
Mr. Peabody and Sherman movie.
In theaters, March 7th, 2014.
I was so upset about that. That it's going to take place right there in the movie.
Yeah, it's too bad that you won't be reading any more Peabody and Sherman, huh?
Don't rub it in.
Too bad you're not going to be reading any more of that Peabody and Sherman, huh?
Don't make it worse than it is. But
Oh,
still...
don't feel bad. I'm sure they'll make a follow-up series.
You want to talk about the New 52 and Marvel, all new Marvel now?
I'm sure they'll make a follow-up series to Mr. Peabody.
We'll save that for the comic review. Beside the point, awesome read, funny stuff. Absolutely highly recommend you check it out for the kids and for everyone that's a reader.
The Other Dead, issue number 5 of 6. How was this? Because I only read through the beginning and then
It's
I had
getting
to stop.
really, really gruesome with so many...
The president, Obama, they have in here chopping up zombie dogs.
Yeah, and not only that, it's not just dogs. It's like these lions and deers and bears. Oh my.
I just feel like this entire issue was them trying to escape the cabin. They do it, they get into a helicopter, and that's the end of the issue.
But
Then the helicopter's in trouble, so the drama continues in the final issue.
Chris, you gotta admit the artwork is really excellently drawn. Like, it is just an animal
absolutely,
apocalypse.
it's just...
Like, that's the whole part of the story.
That's the entire
plot.
story of them getting out of the cabin, getting into the helicopter, taking a 5-minute, and then waking up and they're getting attacked again by something that can fly, which we're not going to spoil until the next issue.
Yeah, I was
But that's
actually
it.
gonna say that. But there's lots of other stuff.
Dialogue.
Yeah, there are dialogues, but wow, it is just an animal apocalypse. It's just all over the place and really graphic and wow, something I did not expect to see.
I just found it interesting because that was it. That was this whole part was them just escaping and them getting bombarded with zombie animals, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's another thing I like, that their ideas, instead of it just being human zombies, it's animal zombies, which makes it more of like a new, interesting idea to bring for the comic book. So that was all over the place.
So, final book for tonight is Ghostbusters Happy Horror Days Part 4 for issue number 12. I am making the announcement now, as of issue 13, Mike and I will be getting physical copies of Ghostbusters because it will be celebrating, I want to make sure I get this right, I think it's the 30th anniversary if I'm not mistaken.
Is it? I think it is the 30th. Because
It has to be 30th because
it did. I think the first Ghostbusters was
came out right before I was born, yeah.
Or 83. 83, 84. Can't remember the first Ghostbusters movie. It basically was in the early to mid 80s.
I think it was 84. I think it was 84, yes. So let's just say that. So they're having their 30th celebration, so we're going to be buying physical copies of those books.
Yep, so take it away.
No, you go ahead and talk about it. It's basically the next part
I didn't get a chance to read this.
Oh, okay.
Actually.
So, all that's been going on in Ghostbusters is leading up to this moment, the new year, and it turns out, for those of you that have not watched the cartoon series, you won't know the connection here, it turns out it's the Boogeyman. Or a really strong version of the Boogeyman.
Wasn't that featured a few issues ago?
Yes, but this is a super strong Boogeyman that's been gaining power. Like, Egon explains the whole situation in like 2 pages. Just like in the X-Files book, he explains it in 20-word bubbles or more. And the simplified version is we got to be there at Times Square on New Year's Eve to stop this Boogeyman from stealing the souls of the children and everybody around. And they're there, and in Times Square, right where the ball is dropping, guess what? There's the Super Boogeyman.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually get to see Pete, Egon's, and Ray's worst fears. Obviously, Egon's is the boogeyman, the classic boogeyman we saw from the cartoon series. Ray's is Vigo, and Pete's is cockroaches.
That's really...
So, Winston and Ortiz, I want to say her name is, actually are the ones that end up catching, shooting up the ghost head, the boogeyman's head, and then they use like 20 different traps to finally capture the ghost, and then you see the fireworks going off for Happy New Year, and all this time basically it's the detective, I want to make sure I have her last name right, so let me go back a little bit.
It's kind of like a Ghostbusters 2.
Ortiz, I was right.
Oh.
It's the detective explaining the whole situation to her superior officer, and finally, after explaining for the 100 and something time, he understands. She says, "Can I go home now and go rest?" She's like, "Yeah, you're going to need your rest because tomorrow you're going to have to explain all this to the deputy director, who's above him."
This is like a visiting Ghostbusters 2 moment about the New Year's and stuff like that. Seems like the second time, I believe, in New Year's, like, something always, like, comes up and stuff like that. Like, that's what makes it really interesting.
And then we have the Mass Hysteria lead-up. It's been in the past couple of issues. This is the prelude with the Rookie. So for those of you who played the video game, you know who the Rookie is. And for those of you who've been reading right along with us since issue 1 of the new Ghostbusters, before it changed back to the regular Ghostbusters, you guys know who Ron is. Ron is the one that took over for Peter Venkman while he was missing. He's a jerk. Nobody likes him really, but I don't know. I think he's going to be one of those popular side Ghostbusters as time moves forward. And I don't want to give too much of the prelude away, but let's just say it all leads into next month's Ghostbusters Mass Hysteria Part 1 in issue number 13. So what better time to jump back into physical copies of a book than when it hits issue number 13. Ghostbusters has been a really enjoyable read for me. I love the artwork. I love the stories. I love the Ghostbusters. Yes, they did reboot it once, and that's why we kind of didn't pick it up. We were picking up physical copies. We picked up the entire first volume's worth of physical copies. We did not pick up issues 1 through 12 of Ghostbuster, the all-new Ghostbusters, because I was led to believe that they were going to be gone for a while, and the all-new Ghostbusters was going to be Janine and her team, and they were going to be looking for the Ghostbusters, and it was going to take a while. I thought it was going to take like a year. Lo and behold, it only took, what, a story arc? One story arc, and they found the Ghostbusters, and they came back, and the series basically became Ghostbusters all over again. So, not much of a change. But I love it. Definitely recommend it. I love Ghostbusters each and every time I read it. So, guys, that's it for this week's Indie Comic Book Review. Don't forget to check out comicrelated.com as well as comicfrontline.com. Together, we are both your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. We are moving to Comic Frontline in a mere 3 days, guys.
Yeah.
3 days, right? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yep. The farewell speech is going to be coming up really soon for Dark Avenger Inc. We are in our last few days of Dark Avenger Inc. uploading, and then all the videos will stop on Dark Avenger Inc. and everything from this Tuesday forward will continue on Comic Frontline. So we will not be talking about Dark Avenger Inc. At least for the near to close distant future, because we're going to be focusing a lot on Comic Frontline. However, we will be starting to talk about more about Comic Frontline. As you guys see, we have tons of series that we're working on. We actually just discussed a new one this past week, and we're going to be implementing that. I will have a teaser up for myself for a couple of series very soon. Binary Gray is probably going to kickstart the Comic Book Corner episodes on Comic Frontline. So we got a lot for you guys coming up, and it's not just comic books this time, it's a whole bunch more. And believe me, we've been spending a whole bunch more to make sure we give you guys lots of different content.
And with our ideas, it's
going to be crazy.
You're going to actually want to experience the adventure.
Let's not forget there are also new members.
That you got to see too. So go to Comic Frontline today and subscribe to us. So that way we'll be in your subscription feed and you won't miss out on single videos that we do. And
we're going to be, me, Michael, and Lisa are going to be working on a project every Friday. We're going to start actually this coming Friday with that project. And it's going to alternate between me, Mike, and then Lisa. For those of you that you guys don't know the project, because we're not even putting a trailer out for it. We're just going to start it this Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure Lisa is, and I know you are, because we got a couple of things for it already. So look forward to some really fun stuff this Friday. Not super amazing, awesome, like, oh my God, Right Home to Mom, but it's a nice series that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy, and it's going to be very informative for you guys. So anyway, guys, until then, though, take care, keep reading, keep collecting,
And keep watching.
We'll see you guys really soon in another review. Take care, everybody.
Later, guys.